The gleaming marble floors of Sterling Corporate Center reflected the afternoon sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows as employees moved purposefully through the expansive lobby. The atmosphere hummed with the quiet efficiency of a billion-dollar enterprise where every detail spoke of success and precision. Alexander Stone adjusted his charcoal gray suit and checked his watch as he walked toward the elevator bank. At 38, he had built Stone Enterprises from a small investment firm into one of the most powerful financial companies in the country. His days were scheduled in 15-minute increments. His decisions affected thousands of jobs, and his net worth placed him among the wealthiest individuals in the city. But as Alexander reached for the elevator button, something unexpected caught his attention. A small figure sat on one of the marble benches near the reception area, her short brown hair framing a face that carried an expression far too serious for someone so young. The little girl couldn't have been more than 6 years old, wearing a white dress with delicate floral embroidery and pink tights. A small pink backpack sat beside her, and in her hands she clutched what appeared to be a worn leather journal. Her brown eyes scanned the busy lobby with the kind of watchful intelligence that suggested she was looking for someone specific. Alexander's business instincts immediately questioned what a child was doing unaccompanied in his corporate headquarters. But something about her composed demeanor and the careful way she held the journal made him pause rather than simply alerting security. As he approached the little girl, she looked up at him with a directness that was both refreshing and slightly unsettling. Most adults, even powerful ones, took time to work up to making eye contact with Alexander Stone. This child simply studied his face as if she were evaluating whether he could be trusted with something important. "Excuse me," the little girl said politely, standing up from the bench with the kind of formal courtesy that suggested careful upbringing. "Are you Mr. Alexander Stone?" Alexander was surprised that she knew his name, though he supposed his photograph appeared in enough business publications that recognition wasn't entirely unusual. "Yes, I am," he replied, kneeling down to speak with her at eye level. "What's your name, and what brings you to see me?" "My name is Lily Chen," she said, extending her small hand for a handshake with surprising formality. "I came here because I have something very important that belongs to you, but I need help reading parts of it." Alexander shook her hand gently, impressed by her composure, but growing more concerned about why a 6-year-old would be in his building alone. "Lily, where are your parents? Are they here with you?" Lily's expression grew solemn. "My mama died 3 months ago. She had cancer. Before she died, she told me to bring this to you when I learned how to read better. But there are still some words I don't understand." She held up the leather journal, and Alexander could see that it was well worn, with pages that had been read many times, and careful writing that filled every available space. "She said it was very important that you see this, and that you would understand why after you read it. She made me promise to find you and give it to you myself." Alexander felt something shift in his chest as he looked at this serious little girl who had clearly traveled some distance to fulfill a promise to her dying mother. The weight of responsibility she carried was evident in every carefully chosen word. "Lily, who brought you here today? How did you get to my building?" "Mrs. Patterson, my foster mother, brought me. She's waiting in the car outside. She said she would give me 30 minutes to talk to you and then we have to go back home." Alexander glanced toward the lobby windows, where he could indeed see a woman sitting in a modest sedan, clearly keeping watch over the situation while respecting Lily's need to handle this task independently. "Would you like to sit down and show me what's in the journal?" Alexander asked, settling onto the marble bench beside her. Lily carefully opened the journal to a page that had obviously been marked with a small piece of paper. The handwriting was feminine and graceful despite showing signs of the shakiness that often came with serious illness. "This part here," Lily said, pointing to a specific paragraph. "I can read most of it, but some of the words are too hard. And Mama said it was the most important part." Alexander took the journal gently and began to read aloud the passage Lily had indicated. "My dearest Alexander, if Lily is reading this to you, it means I am gone and she has kept her promise to find you. What I am about to tell you will change everything you think you know about your past. But please understand that every decision I made was because I loved you both more than my own life." Alexander stopped reading, his heart beginning to race as he realized the implications of what he was hearing. He looked at Lily with new eyes, studying her features and suddenly recognizing similarities he had initially attributed to coincidence. "Lily," he said carefully. "What was your mother's full name?" "Jennifer Chen," Lily replied. "But she told me that before she married my daddy, Her name was Jennifer Liu. She said you knew her by that name. Alexander felt the world shift around him as memories came flooding back. Jennifer Liu had been his girlfriend during his final year at Northwestern University nearly 15 years ago. They had planned to move to New York together after graduation, but Jennifer had suddenly ended their relationship and disappeared from his life without explanation. Despite his efforts to find her, she had seemed to vanish completely. "Lily," Alexander said, his voice thick with emotion, "would you like me to read the rest of this to you?" Lily nodded seriously, sensing that something significant was happening, but not fully understanding the adult complexities involved. Alexander continued reading from the journal. "Alexander, I never told you that I was pregnant when I left Chicago. I found out 2 weeks before graduation, and I was terrified about how it would affect your plans and your career. You had worked so hard for your opportunity in New York, and I couldn't bear the thought of being the reason you didn't pursue your dreams." Alexander's hands were shaking as he read, and Lily noticed his emotional response. "Mr. Stone, are you okay? Mama said the journal might make you sad, but that it was important for you to know the truth." Alexander took a deep breath, trying to process the magnitude of what he was learning. "Lily, I'm okay. I'm just learning some very important information about your mama and about you." He continued reading. "I moved back to California to live with my aunt and I raised our daughter alone. I named her Lily because she was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, just like the flowers you used to bring me every Friday. I watched your career from afar, reading about your success in business magazines, and I was so proud of what you accomplished." Alexander looked at Lily with wonder and growing certainty. "Lily, how old are you?" "I'm 6, but I'll be 7 next month," she replied. The timeline aligned perfectly with when Jennifer had left Chicago. And looking at Lily more closely, Alexander could see his own eyes reflected in her serious expression. "I never told you about Lily because I didn't want you to feel obligated to change your life for us, but now that I am dying, I realize that was wrong. Lily deserves to know her father, and you deserve to know about the incredible daughter you have." Alexander felt tears forming in his eyes as the full impact of Jennifer's sacrifice became clear. She had given up their relationship and raised their daughter alone to protect his career ambitions, never realizing that no professional success could have been more important than being part of his daughter's life. "The journal contains everything I wish I could have told you about Lily's first 6 years. Her first words, her first steps, her favorite books, her dreams and fears. I wrote it all down so you could know her as I do, and so she could understand how much her father was loved, even when he didn't know she existed." Lily watched Alexander's face carefully as he read, her young mind trying to understand why this grown man was crying. "Mr. Stone, Mama said, you might cry when you read this, and that was okay. She said, sometimes grown-ups cry when they learn about love they didn't know they had." Alexander closed the journal temporarily and looked directly at Lily, this remarkable little girl who had traveled across the country to fulfill her mother's dying wish. "Lily, what I'm about to tell you might be confusing, but I want you to understand something very important. Your mama and I loved each other very much when we were young. And according to this journal, that means you are my daughter." Lily considered this information with the seriousness she brought to all important matters. "Does that mean you're my daddy? My real daddy?" "I believe it does," Alexander said softly. "Your mama left before she could tell me about you, but she wanted to make sure we could find each other now." Lily studied his face intently, as if looking for family resemblances or signs of trustworthiness. "Mama said my daddy was very smart and very kind, but that he worked too much and forgot to be happy. She said, if I ever found you, I should remind you that having lots of money isn't the same as having a good life." Alexander felt the profound wisdom in Jennifer's final message, delivered through their daughter's innocent voice. He had indeed built tremendous wealth and professional success, but he had filled his life with work to avoid confronting the loneliness that came from prioritizing achievement over relationships. "Lily, your mama was very wise. Would you like to spend some time getting to know each other? I have a lot to learn about being your daddy, and I think you might be exactly the teacher I need." Lily smiled for the first time since their conversation began, and Alexander saw Jennifer's warmth reflected in their daughter's expression. "I'd like that. Mama said you would need help learning how to be happy. And I'm very good at being happy. I could teach you about playing games and reading stories and making pancakes that look like animals." Alexander laughed through his tears, realizing that this 6-year-old had just offered him the most valuable education of his life. Lily, I think that sounds like the most important learning I could ever do. As they walked toward the lobby exit together, Alexander, carrying the journal that contained 6 years of his daughter's life, he realized that the most successful deal of his career had nothing to do with money or business strategy. It was the unexpected acquisition of a family he never knew he had. Delivered by a brave little girl who had kept her promise to help her parents find each other again. The mother's diary had indeed changed the millionaire CEO forever. Not through guilt or regret, but through the recognition that the greatest wealth came from love. And the most important legacy was the relationships we build with the people who matter most. Thank you for listening to this story about unexpected family connections and the power of a mother's love to transcend even death. If this tale reminded you that our most important relationships often require the courage to be vulnerable and the wisdom to prioritize people over achievements, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in the enduring power of family bonds, and subscribe for more stories celebrating the connections that give life its deepest meaning. We'd love to hear in the comments about times when unexpected revelations brought families together or when a child's perspective helped an adult rediscover what truly matters. Remember, sometimes the most important messages come to us through the smallest messengers. And the greatest success stories are about love found rather than money earned.